Hey everybody, it's been a long time since I had an update. Two major things have been happening with the train set. First one is I finished the sanding. If I had to do it again, I'd recommend using a disc sander with like 40 grit sandpaper and having like 2 or 3 spares to get everything nice and flat. As I have sanded, I've had to choose between, do I want it to be flat or do I want the plaster cloth to show through? And there are a couple places here you can see the plaster cloth kind of came through. I'm thinking that the scenery and the texture are going to help cover some of that. Otherwise, I'm going to have to fill it in with additional plaster. So, took a lot of sanding. It is flat though. So, I'm very glad on that one. The next thing is, real small one, I added the final piece of wood, which is this shelf in the front where all the controls are going to go. We can see you got the holes where the wires are going to pass through and things like that. My next steps should be some staining with some Earth Coat over here. So we'll get some Earth Undercoat, excuse me, and it should be looking pretty good. Right, I just mixed the Earth Undercoat at a 3-to-1 ratio. The bottle says 2-to-1, but I'm doing it at a 3-to-1 ratio. That way I can add more and make it darker as necessary. So I'm going to let it sit here for a while. Mix it up here, get it nice and consistent, and I'm going to do the section that is to the right or east of the river just to see how it turns out. That way, if I have to do the rest of it different, the river kind of makes a natural barrier, so hopefully that'll come out right. Alrighty, as I apply the undercoat here, it is really interesting how it brings out the textures of the plaster very different than kind of how it originally looks. It's like it gives it a sense that there are cracks and rocks, and you just kind of gotta, the stain kind of pools in places that are unexpected. I'm not sure if it really looks better, but I am sure that it looks different. It doesn't look like a bunch of plaster that I've been sanding down, so I'm kind of impressed so far. It's changing the nature of things, and it's kind of foolproof. Just gotta get the undercoat into all the cracks so that the plaster doesn't show through. And it's kind of foolproof. Don't think I'm the best painter in the world, but there's so many nooks and crannies that's kind of having a hard time. Well, I don't know if it's having a hard time, but it's like it gives it a different nature than it otherwise would have. So I'm kind of liking it. One of the next things I'm going to do is, well, after I cover the whole thing, I am going to be putting the tracks back on. So we'll see see if the tracks look like they're going over dirt. I guess they'll look like they're going over dirt as opposed to over plaster. So, so far it's different. I'd like to see how it looks when it dries, but it is different. It's giving it a different characteristic, maybe more of an organic, because of course the earth is not white like plaster. It has color and texture to it. So I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing. So we'll see how it turns out. All right, we're coming around this side. Let's see how this section looks right here. So it goes on kind of thick. So I'm kind of doing these long strokes, and then it tends to pool, and I'm just kind of getting it out of where it pools. And right here is where some of the plaster cloth is showing through, and you can still tell it has a different texture, but it's at this point I don't think it's bad. So I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing. The other thing is there's still enough roughness in the plaster that it's just tearing apart the brush here. But these are cheap brushes. I think I got a bag full of them for like a $2.99 or something. So I'm kind of liking the results here. Kind of dabbing, brushing, dabbing, just getting the getting the undercoat into all sections. It's looking good here. Maybe I'm just kind of sick on looking at white on white. You know, it's kind of giving me something else here. So one of my goals is, even though I'm brushing and dabbing and moving, I don't want it to look like I brushed it in. I want it to kind of look like this is maybe this has got to be dabbed a little bit more to make it look like it's got a texture as opposed to being brushed on with long strokes. So, and it's taking a long time to set, so even if I get a lot of the texture on a single spot, I can still just kind of work it out, and it's taking its time. And I think the far section, I think, is dry and set. But I'm kind of liking, even though I mixed this a little thinner than recommended, I'm liking the texture. There we go. Right here is where some, you can make out that that's plaster cloth. It's kind of darker, so, but. Okay, I just mixed a fresh batch of Earth Undercoat here. Mixed it in here. I think I mixed this just a little thinner, but also there was a little bit of leftover undercoat on the bottom, so I'm hoping it comes out the same. If you look off into the distance, you can kind of see that middle section is lighter. That isn't because it was a different batch, it just came out lighter, so I'm thinking I'll probably want to do another round on that one, just kind of even it up. But we'll see how even it is or isn't. So I think it's going to come out pretty good, though. Okay, I've stained almost all of the plaster. There's still a few little spots. All right, I've gone around the entire layout here, and I have stained everything. And I have gone around, looked through all the nooks and crannies. So I am really feeling confident that the stain is good. I added one of the rocks here. I think I can probably glue these rocks in to help camouflage the nature of the layout and make it look even more realistic. I think it's looking pretty good here. Anyway, thank you for coming. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, bye.